Our next speaker is Dr. Zulfi Hussain. He's a founder and chief executive of Global Promise and Global Change Maker. He is a recognized globally speaker, entrepreneur, and philanthropist who live to make the difference in the world, and now has become the man who make the impossible possible. Please welcome. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, jamo, and for my English-speaking friends, good afternoon. It's a great privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to be standing here in front of you and being asked to share my life's journey, my trials, tribulations, successes, and learning points. So hopefully, that's what I'm going to be doing today. And I would like to try to encourage you, inspire you possibly, but certainly cajole you to become change makers in your own right, because every one of us can make a difference. And if you think you're too small to make a difference, try to sleep in a room with a mosquito. So I'm going to talk to you about how to make the impossible possible, because I think everything is in this world, in this life, is possible. It's all a matter of time. Because if you look around you, lights, mobile phones, aeroplanes, these things were deemed to be impossible once upon a time. And when the time was right, they all became in being. So that's one thing. If you don't want to take anything else away, just take one takeaway. Everything is possible. It's all about mindset, behavior, attitude. Let me take you back to how it all started for me. At the age of about 10, one day I was running around in a small village in Pakistan, minding my own business, and it was almost like the aliens had come and abducted me and brought me to this alien nation called England, where I had no idea of the language, the culture, the history, or anything else for that matter. But this is where I ended up. And in those days, there was a policy that people like myself, youngsters coming in from the subcontinent in particular, all ended up in an immigrant center. So this was a school where there were 100% of kids just like me, with no prior formal learning experience, didn't know the language. And they'd never heard of this whole thing about, if you want to learn a language, it's all about immersion. But if you've got 100% kids just like yourself, when are you going to learn the language? Well, we didn't. So unfortunately, it was just a total waste of a year in my life. I then ended up into the mainstream school after the first year, and the command of the English language was pretty much non-existent. And just to give you an example, this one question really still sticks in my mind, which was around word association. And the question, it was a multiple choice test, so it wasn't anything particularly difficult looking back, but I found it extremely hard. And the question was, hand is to arm as cup is to X. And I had 4 choices. And I chose sausage. Because I didn't know the difference between saucer and sausage. So after a year in this immigrant center, that was the extent of my knowledge. And then time moved on fairly quickly. And I was 13, so I had to go to senior school when my parents were supposed to have a choice. But unfortunately, the government introduced a new policy called busing out, which in theory was a great policy. And the policy was designed to bus out kids like myself from the ethnic minority areas to mix them up with white kids. So in theory, absolutely great idea about integration. Unfortunately, as luck would have it, it was an absolute disaster for myself and lots of my friends who ended up in the roughest, toughest white estate school in Bradford. And the other minor detail they forgot to tell us, it was the regional headquarters for the National Front Party. So talk about lambs to the slaughter. And this was truly a baptism of fire. And every morning, rather than putting books in our bags, It was hammers, chisels, chili powder, pepper spray, nunchakus, just to defend yourself. And things were so bad, believe it or not, that at end of term, we often used to get a police escort from the classroom just to get onto the bus. Because it wasn't the kids in school trying to beat you up, it was all the locals coming on their motorcycles and trying to hit you with their crash helmets, beer bottles, and anything else you could think of it. And it's incredible that actually nobody died in this place. Lots of people, my friends, still have stab wounds, head wounds, and it was a really dark period in my life. But in any situation, you either become a victim or you become a survivor. Unfortunately, most of us from that batch of 40 or so ethnic minority kids became survivors. But unfortunately, some of my friends did become the victims. And it's just the way you tackle things, the way you find yourself in a situation. But I look back on those days with some fond memories, really, because it's made me the person I am today. Those experiences, if I hadn't had those, I probably wouldn't be as resilient, as tough, mentally and physically and otherwise. So that is actually me, believe it or not, getting ready for school every morning, warming up, just ready for battle. But the problem with school was that the expectation, the aspirations were set really, really low. And it was almost non-existent for ethnic minority kids, because we were told, you'll never make it in the system. Don't even think about further education, because you'll never make it. Get yourself out of school as soon as you possibly can when you get to 16. Get yourself a manual job, or an apprenticeship, or the like. But certainly don't think about further education. And in fact, if anything, creativity was actually knocked out of us. And this is the way I remember school, that it was the way things were done in those days. I don't know what it's like in your workplace now or what your school was, but this is the way, I thought the things were moved on, but they hadn't. That's the way we were being creative. And I heard a story the other day which really reminded me of these days, of a girl who doesn't pay a lot of attention in school. But one day she's in an art class and she's really concentrating, and the teacher says, "Hi honey, what are you doing?" And she says, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And the teacher says, "But nobody knows what God looks like." And she said, "They will in a minute." And this is what I found myself, because every time I question things, because I just couldn't cope with the way they were trying to limit us, put us in a box, and pretty much keep us there. My father, on the other hand, was a military man. He was a POW in World War II and caught by the Japanese in Burma. And one of the very few people ever to escape from a Japanese POW camp and to live to tell the tale. And he used to say, "Son, you're not stupid, you're not thick, learn the language. Education is your way out. Education, education, education." And the second piece of advice was, don't start a fight, but make sure you finish it. Don't come home crying, because that's no good to anybody. And so armed with those two facts, every morning I say, "Watch out world, here I come. I need an education, and nobody dare stand in my way." So I went through a very convoluted route through college, through to university, and eventually graduated and moved into the corporate world. But I was always a man in a hurry, because I started so late in life. And so I probably at this moment in time got more qualifications and achievements for my personal and professional life than you could probably shake a stick at. And as well as being in the corporate world, in parallel I set up lots of organizations. I've owned, managed, successfully bought and sold many, many organizations, enterprises, social enterprises. And this just gives you an example of a few. And I'm not trying to show this to you to say, aren't I great? Or aren't I good? This is about, if I can do it, so can you. Because I grew up with all the disadvantages you can imagine. My education didn't really start till I was almost 13. At the age of 15, I had facial paralysis. I got Bell's palsy, so I woke up talking a bit like this in the morning. And that was not really good in the teenage years in particular. Girls didn't like that sort of stuff. But it was just about another adversity, another barrier I had to overcome. And I think it's the same true of all of us. There's enough barriers in life. Don't become one yourself. Always try to get over that barrier. And then another defining moment. This is Boxing Day 2004. I woke up like everybody else and thought, this is really bad. The tsunami has struck, and what can we do? And I could give a bit of money, but I thought, no, I can do better than this. So I set up a consortium of like-minded people, and we decided to set up a social enterprise called Global Promise. And I came with a concept in my head around a web-based system that we could use to actually connect the potential donors with all the people needing the help. So through a mutual friend, I rang somebody in the south of England, and as soon as I picked up the phone, I said, "Oh, hi Graham, how are you doing?" And he said, "Oh yes, I've been expecting your call. You're the crazy one." I said, "Oh great, reputation precedes me." So I said, "Look, I've got this concept, what do you think?" And he said, "Great idea, definitely would work." I said, "Well, when can I have it then?" He said, "Well, 3 months." I said, "Yeah, I haven't got 3 months, people are dying out there. We need to get this done. You've got 48 hours. Either you can do it, or I'll go somewhere else and find somebody who can do it." And to be fair, we worked day and night from a concept in my head on Boxing Day 2004 through design, build, test, and launch on New Year's Day. And not only did we launch it, we hit the first 50,000 potential donors. And within by the 5th or 6th of January, we'd raised over £1 million worth of stuff. And I call it stuff because it was money, it was goods and services, in-kind support and expertise. We took everything. And Global Promise was born. And it's coming up to its 15th anniversary this December. And we've carried on doing a lot of stuff around disaster relief, enterprise education, connecting and building communities, as well as helping others, and trying to create more entrepreneurs, more change makers. And I've had a wonderful, amazing journey of life, bearing in mind where I started. I've met some incredible people around the world who've taught me a great deal of things. They've mentored me, coached me, helped me, supported me. And I want to try to pass some of that knowledge and experience that I've gained to people out there. Because after all, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Or put another way, having knowledge and experience and not sharing it is like knowing the Kama Sutra really well and not having a partner to practice with. So think again, think different. Or think different, think again, even. So this whole thing about you just live once, in my view, is a total myth. Because you don't just live once. Yes, you die once, but you live every day. And it's that perception, the way you frame things, do things, that makes the difference. Because every morning you wake up and you do the wood test. If you don't feel any wood, you're not in the box, you're still alive, and it's a great day. And the day you feel the wood, you're 6 foot under and it's game over. So make the most of it. So make the world your oyster. Don't be confined by your region, your country, or even Europe. The world is a global village. And learn to operate in it. Develop cultural literacy, because this is really important when you're working with other cultures and other people. Take care with things like greetings. Is it a kiss? Is it one? Is it two? Is it a bow? Is it a handshake? All these things are really important. And particularly when things are marketing or colours, numbers, symbols, these all mean different things to different people. And just to give you a couple of examples, colours in particular. So red is very, very good luck in China. Green is sacred and favourite colour of the Islamic world. Yellow in certain countries means death. So be careful what you use. And certainly, like with adverts, some people read left to right, some read right to left. So be careful how you place things. Some images have no impact. Others can cause real offence. And I'll just show you some examples here. These are real products, believe it or not. New improved Chito. I'm not sure how many people would go for that one here. A bit of juicy pussy, maybe? Yeah, you like that? Or maybe you prefer big nuts. In Jamaica, this is one of the real delicacies, the cock soup. And in Pakistan, they obviously didn't check the spelling on this one. So somebody failed, and this is a big banner in the middle of the road, and you couldn't miss it. And I just sort of I couldn't resist but take that picture. And finally, you know, I would say my advice, for what it's worth, is be skeptical. Be a rebel. Challenge the status quo. Don't merely conform, and don't just be ordinary, because every single one of you in this room and out there in the world is special. You all have special gifts. You have a mission in life. You know, we all have a destiny to fulfill. Find that destiny and fulfill it. And don't accept the world as it is. You know, dream about the world that it could be, and then make it happen. And you know, you might say, oh, well, how do you do that? You know, how do you eat an elephant? It's one chunk at a time. You know, you don't have to eat the whole elephant in one go, it looks too big. It's how you approach things, collaborate, you know, work with others, you know, start somewhere. You know, because it's like that classic story you may have heard, you know, somebody walking down along the beach and he's picking up starfish which had been swept out and he's throwing them back into the sea. And somebody said, what the hell are you doing? You stupid. There's hundreds of these. What difference can you make? And he picks up another one and he throws it back in. And he said, I made a difference to that life. And that's the way to do it, you know, just think different, think again. Challenge the status quo, be a rebel. And this has been my motto, which I've used throughout my life. Think big, start small, but act now. There is never a perfect plan. If you wait for perfect things to happen, you'll never do anything in life. You've just got to dream big, big dreams, and start small, even small baby steps, you know. Make sure you do that, and then act now. And I would say, be the change in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. And I wrote this poem some while ago, which I'd like to share with you, which is called The Power of One. One smile can start a lasting friendship. One step can be an epic journey. One star can guide a lonely ship. One dream can create a leading attorney. One vision can change a nation. One hope can remove all doom. One idea can spark innovation. One act can conquer gloom. One voice can speak with wisdom. One heart can love you true. One life can make a difference. One is all that's needed. Make sure it's you. Thank you very much.